Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Final Whistle. Dave Giacomino, Kevin Walsh here. Tom Takashushi is in the house. We're going to go to the other side of the bracket here. All right. We're going to start Dallas, Minnesota. Just to start off, this bracket is a lot more interesting than the other side. There's big matchups. This can go a little back and forth here. We might disagree a little here.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, obviously I've been starting it off. Now, I need a little help here. This is where I'm going to be honest. Seguin is not playing in the series.
Sagan.
Sagan.
And he's questionable. He probably won't be back for game one.
Okay.
His status is uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll probably show up around game 3, game 4. But he won't be full.
But he's still a difference maker, I think.
Definitely.
His presence there will make a difference.
Just his looks.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, okay.
Such a good-looking guy.
No. I mean, I was going through obviously the stuff I was looking at and everything, and you see the 1-2 combination of him and Jamie Benn, which is obviously lethal. But see, this is funny because we spoke about Ovechkin, right? And he said teams are used to triple team him, but then TJ Oshie showed up and a couple other guys started playing well, and now you can't do that. So and again, I'm not saying that this is 100% fact what I'm saying here, but I feel that if Tyler's not going to be there, we're going to go first name basis. If Tyler's not there, then Jamie may struggle a bit. And if Minnesota then can zone in on him. I mean, the thing is, I'm looking at it, and look, hockey's no different from any other sport. There's going to be an upset somewhere along the lines. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take the Wild in the first round. Zach Parise, former Devil. He's a household favorite in my house. My two brothers are Devils fans, so Zach Parise in the Wild for the upset.
See, now, people can go with the Wild with the upset. It's also very tempting to look at the Stars. Great season, ton of points. And the Wild, not so great season, not a lot of points. Probably, I think, the lowest of any playoff team. But the thing that's really intriguing about this series, and just about the Stars in general, coming in, of all playoff teams, the Stars have the most goals per game. But they also give up the most goals per game. It says something in the playoffs. Their goaltending has been solid as of recent. I think Lettinen won his last 4 starts in a row, and to finish the season, the Emmy had a good 2 or 3 starts. But it's just interesting because in the playoffs, you need a solid goaltender. And for me, when you have 2 mediocre, wishy-washy, hot and cold goaltenders, it doesn't really bode well for you. I think the Stars have enough of a supporting cast with Jason Spezza and John Klimberg to kind of help them get through this first round. I think they'll take care of the Wild. The Wild are a team that's they can be really hot or really, really bad. So to me, that doesn't scream playoff contender. So I got the Wild. I don't think it's going to be that long of a series. I think it's going to go 5 or 6. Oh, I'm sorry, the Stars. The Stars. 5 or 6 games tops. Just because I think the Stars just have too much offensive power. But I don't see the Stars going past that because of their lack of goaltending.
I have to kind of disagree with you there about the goaltending because we saw Chicago go make a deep run and they were kind of switching back and forth with their goaltending. They had Crawford. He wasn't really doing that well. They switched up, but they were still able to make a run with some, goaltending. But that is Chicago.
Yeah.
But, I'm still going to take Dallas because Dallas is just too talented, I think. They're going to outplay Minnesota in every aspect of the game. And, I think they're going to win like 5 games here because I think they're just too talented.
I was going through the Wild's schedule just for the regular season, and you mentioned hot and cold. And there's a point in the season, out of a 19-game stretch, they went 3-16.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. Now, they ended the season. They win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row, and then they lose 5 in a row. So, when you look at it, they're either probably going to lose in 4 or, win in 5. Just from what it seems like. I mean, what you said seems to hold extremely true. Yeah. I don't know if they do win-lose. This is outrageous. They lost, like I said, 16 out of 19 games, and then they go out and win 4 in a row, and then they drop 3 in a row. Then they win 4 in a row, lose 2 in a row. So, yeah, I think the definition of hot and cold seems to fit this team perfectly. So, it's probably going to be a short series, that means. One way or the other. Either the Wild are going to be on their game or they're going to get destroyed.
Yeah. I think it's actually going to go the Stars going to win their first 2 at home. Then the Wild might win their next 2. in Minnesota.
Right.
But then the Stars will win the next two, and then close out
And
the
then
series in
that's it.
6.
Right.
Because I think if the Stars go down like 3-2, 3-1, that's it. I'm sorry, the Wild. Keep getting the names mixed up. But yeah, if the Wild go down 3-2, 3-1, they're just a team that kind of feeds off momentum a lot. So if they're down and they're not playing that well, they're not going to come up for a Game 5 or a Game 6. That could be a series clinching game.
All right, we'll go to the next series here. Big series, big Chicago, St. Louis. What do you guys got here?
I mean, I got the Blackhawks. Patty Kane's arguably actually the best player in the league. I know, Crosby, Ovechkin, but they'll get the points. And it would say otherwise. They always got a stacked team, and they're, to me it's crazy. In like you think about football, and a team like the Patriots, it's just kind of like, yeah, they'll be in the playoffs and they're gonna win games. They're always like that consensus favorite. The Blackhawks, to me, are the team since I've been following hockey. It hasn't been that long, but everyone's always like, oh yeah, you don't want to play the Blackhawks. Like the Blackhawks are in. I mean, everyone was saying that last year. It was just like, oh yeah, Blackhawks are gonna win. It seemed like everyone just knew that the Blackhawks were just gonna make such a deep run, and they did, and they won the whole thing. So they seem like that team that nobody wants to play, no matter what. I mean, because you look at it, they're not the favorite in this because it's a 3-2. They're the 3, but I mean, I would bet if you did a poll who wins the thing, they're gonna win it probably in a landslide, and that's also why I'm gonna go with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, that St. Louis Blues fans, they had a chance to clinch that first spot in their division and play the Wild in the first round, and they didn't. The Stars got it. And I know as soon as the Blues fans saw the Blackhawks, they just went, oh, God, like again. It's kind of like a Rangers-Capitals kind of thing, but it's a lot more lopsided with this one because the Blackhawks just always beat the Blues. I think the Blues have a tremendous team this year, and I think if they're playing anyone else in the first round, they would win. But I think the Blackhawks are just kind of that team, even though they had a rough end to the season, they're just that team that figures it out in the playoffs. So I think they're going to get past the Blues, just because they always get past the Blues, and then kind of put it together. By the time they get to that second series against Dallas, I think they'll be more poised to make a run.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chicago just for one simple reason. That's Patrick Kane. Because Patrick Kane is the best player in the world to me. He does in aspect to doing everything.
Best player in the world? Ovechkin?
Yeah, I said in terms of doing everything. Ovechkin's just a goal scorer.
Oh, all right. Well, in terms of doing everything, you can't say that. Patrick Kane doesn't play defense. We just talked about back checking and
Yeah, I know. But still,
I would say your best absolute player in terms of everything, defense, offense, probably John Tavares. He's got the skill. He does play some defense. It hurts me to say as a Ranger fan.
Listen, as the best player clearly on his team, he's still obviously Jonathan Toews, whatever. You're not supposed to get, I know you're not supposed to get dirty. You're not supposed. You got people on the team to do that for you.
If you play hockey, you gotta get dirty.
I know, but
Ovechkin gets dirty. Jamie Benn gets dirty.
So does Patrick Kane, though. He does get dirty when he needs to. He has.
I don't know.
Remember the All-Star game, man? He dropped the gloves.
Oh yeah, with John Scott. Yeah, I remember that.
All right. Anyway.
So unanimous Blackhawks.
Yeah,
shocking, really.
Yeah, shocking. This series, I think, is gonna go quick. Chicago is just great, and the Mets gave up another run. All right, we're gonna go down to the other side of the bracket. Anaheim, Nash, and then the Predators.
I love the Ducks this year. I love the Ducks. Now they seem to be that team. I think similar to the Cavs, where people say like they always have like a good regular season. They seem to blow it. But I was going through some stats and stuff. Least goals per game. They gave up the least goals per game, and that's big come playoff time because And again, this holds true to any sport because I'm kind of talking as the outside hockey guy who doesn't watch it anywhere near as much as you guys do. But in the playoffs, it's harder to put up points. That's just how it goes. So that bodes really, really well for the Ducks. And then when it comes to being able to score, you got two really good playmakers in Getzlaf and Corey Perry. And I think that's just a recipe for success because, in a game that could be 0-0 because I was looking through it as well. The Predators actually get shot on the least per game. So for that reason, you could get a 0-0 game late in the third period, but you got guys that can make plays like Getzlaf and Perry, and I think that's a really good recipe for success for the Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the Ducks are going to take this series just because I don't think the Predators have enough firepower to keep up with the Ducks. It's going to be a defensive series, no doubt about it. John Gibson has been playing outstanding for the Ducks in that. And then you have Pekka Rinne back there for the Predators. So the goaltending's not an issue for either team. The blue line isn't an issue either because you have Sami Vatanen leading the Ducks blue line, and then you have Shea Weber, of course, leading the Predators. So it's going to come down to who can score that clutch goal. And to me, the combination of Getzlaf and Perry kind of outweighs Forsberg and Mike Smith. So I think that the Ducks will win just because the Predators don't have enough to keep up.
Yeah, I have to agree with you guys. I think this is a series that most of the games will be decided by one goal.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
this could be a series that like more than one game goes into overtime. I can absolutely see it, and I think the Ducks are more in position to win those games. So I gotta go with the Ducks there. And this is the last matchup here: the Kings, Sharks. Sharks have, last year, no, not last year, a couple years back, they had the Kings 3-0, and they blew it. So I'm sure they're gonna want revenge.
Yeah, the question is, can they get it? I mean, the Kings are a team that everyone in New York is a lot more familiar with because of what happened 2 years ago. I remember a play. I think is his last name Doughty. He's a defenseman who wears number 8.
Doughty.
Yeah,
Drew
Drew
Doughty.
That it was one of the nastiest goals I've ever seen. He just pulled it like behind his back. It was filthy, and I was like, he plays defense. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
I just, to me, again, the Kings kind of feel similar to the Blackhawks. It's just a team that you don't want to see. I think in the postseason, again, I was looking through the Sharks. I had no idea Joe Thornton still played. I remember him from backyard hockey. I had no idea that. I thought he was old back then when I was like 9 playing that game. He's 36, so I mean he's young compared to Yager. But I'm going with the Kings to be completely honest. The main reason is just familiarity, knowing just how capable of a team that they are. It's just a really dangerous team. Kopitar's filthy. They just got a lot of good players on that team, and that's really a big reason. The thing, though, is that had them 3-0 and to blow that. And that was the year that the Kings won the Cup, right?
Yeah.
That sticks with a team. That really does. And it sticks with the team that lost more than the team that won. Because the Kings, I mean, if you ask them, about that series, of course they can remember, but they remember the Stanley Cup more than anything. You ask the Sharks, and the whole time they're sitting there, we won one more game, we could have the Cup. So that really, really sticks with the team. And, it's similar to how we said that with the Rangers Penguins series. We could kind of see either team winning it. I'm not sure how many people see this one as close, but I think it's actually going to be a pretty close series. And I'm going with the Kings, like I said, based on familiarity, but I definitely think that the Sharks can get this one.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that 2 years ago when the Sharks blew a 3-0 lead, but they've had a lot of changes since then. They changed their goaltender. They got Martin Jones now. They changed their captain. Joe Thornton was the captain of that team that blew that 3-0 series.
Right.
They stripped him of the captaincy, and now they got Joe Pavelski at the helm. So it's a different team. They got Joel Ward, who's just a known playoff contender and a nice, tough, gritty player. So they're kind of a new-look team. It's not the same Sharks that like to blow playoff leads. But the thing is, they're playing the Kings. And you got Jonathan Quick in net. You got Drew Doughty on the blue line. You got Anze Kopitar. I think it's just too much for the Sharks. I think the Sharks kind of turned it around this season, kind of lived up past expectations. But I think the Kings are going to win out just because of that experience and they just have more talent.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Kings here as well, and I figured we'd be disagreeing a little more here, but the Kings they're just a really good team. Drew Doughty, he had a Norris Trophy worthy season.
Mm-hmm.
He was great defensively all year, and Jonathan Quick, he's had his ups and downs, but I think he'll be ready come playoff time.
Come playoff time, he's
always a guy that just puts in another gear and come playoff time, and he'll be poised to make a run here. And I just think the Kings will be too much for the Sharks, but I think the Sharks are going to be poised to get that revenge, but I just don't think it'll be enough.
I mean, if you want to start some arguments, we can keep going. See how far the Islanders get, the Rangers get. I mean, I don't know if you want to do that this week or next week, but
we'll save that for next week when
see how the series are looking at. The
I mean, the series won't be over next week, but
2 or 3 games in, depending on what series.
I'll ask quickly before you wrap it up, Dave. Out of all your picks, which one are you least confident in? Because I'll tell you, for me, it's that King Shark series.
Yeah.
I seriously think like
Yeah,
you know when a team gets when you have a team 3-0, man, that sticks with you more than anything. I mean, I remember when the Yankees lost to the Red Sox 3-0, and I mean that's a whole nother level because that's that's the biggest rivalry in all of American sports. At least in my opinion. I don't know if some people would disagree to that. But when they came back from 3-0, I mean that was like unreal. So I can only imagine that Sharks fans probably hate no team more at this point than the Kings, and to see them again, they're probably just saying, "Come on, please, let's just destroy them." Now, I will say this: they probably don't want to be up 3-0 again. They'd probably rather be up like 2-1 and then win the next two, just because they don't want to test those waters. But that for me is the one that I'm least confident in by going with the Kings.
I got two of them that I would say that.
Dave's already saying he's wrong. I love it. At least we don't have to say it this time.
No. I could easily see Detroit winning that series just because I was saying before I was going back and forth. I can easily see Detroit winning that series, and just 'cause I could see Florida win just because the Islanders haven't won a playoff series in so long. And will this be the year that they finally win? But I think it's gonna be the year they win. But I can see both of those series going the other way.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of uncertainty, I would say the Lightning and the Red Wings, but that's too easy. I would say probably the Panthers and the Islanders. That's going to be a closer series than people think. I think the Islanders have a chance to do something special this year if they can just put it together. They can get their role players to step up, and it's not just John Tavares. They can make a run because
If you look at it,
if you get past the Panthers, right? You play either a banged up Lightning or a very old, uncertain Red Wings team. You can get past them too, which I actually would like because then you have a Rangers, hopefully Islanders
Yeah.
Eastern Conference final. That would be amazing.
And the Islanders play very fast paced, and that would be a bad matchup for Detroit if that would be the case.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think they'd be able to stay with the running and with the fast paced
You're
Islanders.
running? I don't know. You run. I didn't know
Running
you
and
run on
gunning.
hockey.
Are you on skates?
Running and gunning on skates. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the Panthers. On the series is kind of up for grabs. The Lightning Red Wings is a pick 'em. I think another series that could surprise people, if anything, the Predators could beat the Ducks, just because the Ducks have that history of not showing up well in the playoffs, and the Predators have a pretty established core. They've got the same group of guys going for a while now who've made playoff appearances, playoff runs a little bit. So it wouldn't really shock me that much if the Predators were to win. It would shock a lot of people, but yeah, I mean, kind of a dark horse. I would go with the Predators.
And I got one more. This is just for you, Ty, because Ranger fan, Islander fan, so you would know who's the guy that has to step up. And I mean, because Tavares is going to play well, right? You kind of know Lundqvist is going to play well. Who's the guy that has to step up? And if he does, very confident then that your team will be able to get the win.
I think it's got to be, like you said before, it's got to be Okposo. He's set to be a free agent at the end of the year. He's asking for a lot of money. A lot of people think the Islanders won't give him that money because he doesn't deserve it. I think Okposo needs to step up and help Tavares. And the goaltending as well. They need good goaltending in order to win. They lost their number one guy, and Grice has been good, but he's also been bad. He's been very inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, for the Rangers, it's a little interesting because
Rick Nash, Mr. No Show in the playoffs.
Yeah, but Zuccarello is going to show up. Brassard is going to show up. He always does well. Stepan, too, is pretty clutch when it comes down to it in the playoffs. Nash is going to disappear. He's going to kill some penalties, and he's going to play very physical and help us win some puck possessions, but he's not going to score. So I think I'm going to go a little outside the box here. I think it's up to Keith Yandel to step up. If Keith Yandel can step up, he led the team in assists. If he can step up on the blue line because McDonough's hurt. He's been hurt for a while. Stahl's not healthy. He's never healthy. Girardi just got hurt. So I think if you have Yandel at the blue line kind of leading the troops, I think that would be big. Lundqvist is going to show up. You kind of know what you're getting with your top 9 forwards at this point. Hopefully Kreider can show up. He had an up-and-down season. His physical play in the playoffs really helps the Rangers. But, yeah, I would say the X factor for the Rangers is Keith Yandel.
Yeah, I think him and Stepan, have to be big in this series. But he has stepped up like last playoff series they were in. He has stepped up in the past, but I think he has to play well in order for him to make a run.
Yeah, and with Stepan, I think his main job is to win faceoffs. He's got to win faceoffs.
He's not very good at.
He's not, but in the playoffs, you got to be. Like the game against the Islanders, not the last game, the one before that when it was 5-4 at the goal line, I believe, or 4-3 when a minute left. We talked about it on the show last time. A minute left. Stepan lost the draw to I think Casey Zizekas, the fourth line center.
Best fourth line in hockey.
I don't know about that. there's some other fourth lines, but we don't have to go into that. But either way, really the centers. Brassard's gonna score because that's what he does in the playoffs. Stepan, Moore, Eric Stahl. If they throw him in at center, you gotta win faceoffs. That's kind of a big thing for the Rangers. You gotta win faceoffs.
All right, that's all. It's all the time we have for that segment. Stay tuned. We're gonna get some heated debate. We're gonna come with a little baseball, a little basketball. It's gonna get heated over here. Stay tuned.